Hello, everybody, and welcome into a special preview of Texas at the Voice of College Football. We really appreciate you guys being here. We have some special guests from the Ohio State channel. We have Garrison and Ryan joining us. So please give them a shout out in the comments for coming and joining us, talking this game. Really excited for this game. How are you guys doing tonight?
Doing great. I know Garrison and I are really excited to talk about this Texas game. We've talked about it quite a bit over on our channel, and we're curious to hear your guys' thoughts.
No, 100%. I think it's always good to get an opinion of the other team. I'll let you go, Gerald.
I'm not going to take it personally that Garrison has what appears to be Longhorn horns over his right shoulder.
Sir. Well, you guys made it. You guys probably don't know this about me. So I am a huge Buckeye fan, but I am born and raised from the great Lake State of Michigan. So
okay,
no, those are a bunch of.
It's the worst quality about him.
Man, there's a bunch of deer back there, but no, I was actually on my way home, and I was like, well, I gotta hurry up here. So I stopped at my favorite bar, and they gave me the back room.
Look at that.
I mean, It's a good background. It kind of reminds me of Quinn Ewers' background during the NFL draft.
Dude, that was remember that was I was so impressed by that back. Oh my god, I was so impressed with that. I have in my bedroom, I have a deer skin that I shot like 2 years ago on as my rug. Yeah,
love it.
No, but let's jump into it. So let's talk about this because, in my opinion, it was the deciding factor of last year's game. It was the Texas offense versus the Ohio State defense. So what do you think about that matchup? And then where are the concerns, I guess, on your side of the ball for the Ohio State defense? And how do you think that matchup ends up going in this game?
I'll go ahead and jump in first. So in particular to Texas's offense and Ohio State's defense, Ohio State lost a lot of starters from last year. I know both teams really did, but the defense is a little bit more concerning because Ohio State, like all their starters up front are gone. The entire defensive line is being replaced. So having Texas as the first game out of the chute, I wouldn't say is ideal for a team that lost all their starters. With that being said, obviously they've still got the best safety in college football in Caleb Downs. I know he caused some issues in the game last year. He's still gonna be roaming around and doing his thing. Sonny Styles is back. He had some big plays in that game. And honestly, me and Garrison were talking about this on our show here just before we jumped on. The secondary is still really good. They've only got 2 starters returning, but the guys behind them who are jumping in, specifically at corner, they've played a significant amount of football as well. So defensively, I'm not as worried about it, even though they've also got a new defensive coordinator. But Garrison's a Matt Patricia stan, so he's got better things to say about him. But what do you think, Garrison?
I mean, in terms of Ohio State's, we're talking about Ohio State's defense, right? So, yes, there are a lot of guys that left, a lot of senior leading guys that left. But for me, I do believe that there are things that this Ohio State defense comes in with that last year's didn't have. Again, at every single level, except for D-line, I guess you say, but at linebacker, we bring back Sonny Styles. As corner, we bring back Davidson Igbinosun. At safety, we bring back Caleb Downs, who I believe to be the second best player in college football behind Jeremiah Smith. On top of that, I look at Jermaine Matthews. I've been a fan of his all the time, but a lot of Ohio State fans for the last 2 years have believed that Jermaine Matthews has been the best corner in that room. So it's really fun. I'm excited to see him play. In terms of the D-line, we got to see it. We got to see it. Now, in terms of when we talk about going against you guys, I did extensive research today on your offensive line. I do believe that there is an advantage that Ohio State's defensive line holds because it's in week 1. But I'm really interested to see what guys like Edric Houston. I'm really interested to see what guys like Caden Curry. Bo Agason is the only guy who's been a starter on the team. We were just talking about that on our show, and then
transfer from North Carolina. Yeah.
He literally looks like a carbon copy of Jack Sawyer. I not kid you. That's what he looks like in terms of like his looks. But but I do think that there's a lot of talent on this team that can show up. But the problem is that defensive tackle spot where I'm really worried.
Yeah.
After the first 2, because I mean, let's just be
I'm even
honest.
worried about some of the top two. I know we've talked about it.
No.
But
That you be worried about that. I'm not worried about Edric Houston, 6'4", 200.
I'm a little bit more worried about Caden McDonald than I am Edric.
Well, so the only worry I have for Caden, guys, is that he's big. And when I say he's big, I mean he's big. So like I don't know if he can stay on the field all the time. If he can, cool. But I think in terms of like our D tackle depth, it scares me because Tom Fornelli dropped his top 5 running back rooms in the country. Had a bunch of Wolverine fans saying they should have been over you guys. I'm like, you're insane.
Yeah.
And so because I think you guys have 3 elite talented running backs. But
yeah. Would have been nice to have Hero Canoe still on the roster. I know you guys went ahead and swiped him, but would have had to have him for some
or it'd be nice to have my D line coach, Alan Clark. But
that's also true.
He's recruiting his ass off right now, so I appreciate him.
No,
yeah,
really?
We're aware. We're aware.
So I want to stay on the defense for a second, if you don't mind. So Texas fans are intimately familiar with Jim Knowles. He was a pain in the ass when he was at Oklahoma State, and he came and did things to Texas, obviously in the playoffs. Switching to Patricia, there were some jokes about Garrison being a Patricia fan. It's like, what shifts or changes are we expecting from that Ohio State defense, kind of changing the system and changing philosophies, or are we?
I would say so. Matt Patricia does run multiple, but he does run base out of 3-4. And like for those watching who don't know, the 3-4 defense, the priority of the 3-4 defense is to blitz from different angles. Just 3 down linemen, 4 linebackers, come from the outside, come from the inside. Things that I know, the Wolverines run that, right? So the USC runs that now with their DC. So yeah. I think that changes. I think that Jim Knowles, he likes to play contained with his defensive linemen, especially the edge rushers. I think a lot of Penn State fans don't know that yet, and they're about to find out real quick. But but I think that when you guys have guys like Caden Curry and Kenyatta Jackson, who I haven't mentioned yet, those are guys that can get going and move. So I think it's just interesting to see what happens there. Also, where I think what helps with Matt Patricia is that him and now co-DC OG Walt, Tim Walton, they coached with each other way back at Syracuse. And Coach Walton, about a month or 2 ago, in an interview, talked about how they still use the same language. Matt Patricia's expertise is in the front 7. Walt's is in the backside. Pause. Yep. So, I really believe that there's going to be, with all of that, is going to help this defense. But there's going to be some growing pains. There's going to be some growing pains. And one of the things that I am a little bit concerned about, and this kind of goes back to the game last year, is, and I know Texas fans were clamoring for Arch to replace Quinn Ewers because Quinn Ewers was kind of a statue back there. He's not someone who can really. Do not talk about my boy like that.
I will talk about your boy like that. He was not really able to hurt Ohio State with his legs, and that's something that I think is going to kind of be a big factor in this game, coming up, because Ohio State, they're switching to this new style of defense, and I am very curious to see how that communication goes when things break down and all of a sudden Arch is scrambling around and able to get some yards. That's one of the things I'm concerned about in this game.
Yeah, I think we've talked about that. We don't expect Sark to go crazy with him running 10, 15 times a game, but it's those off-script plays, obviously, that are going to cause the issue for defenses now. Where you're 100% right. Quinn Ewers cannot do that. I still disagree with Gerald and I both disagree. Most Texas fans were asking for Arch because he didn't understand the playbook at all. He didn't understand 100% of the playbook like Quinn did, in and out. You could tell when he came into the game, they had to dumb down some things. So I don't expect that this year. 3 years in the system, I think he knows it pretty well by now. But that's the thing, Garrison, you pointed it out too. Tom Fornelli with that top 5 running backs thing, Gerald and I would 100% disagree with that. We have gigantic question marks there because of CJ Baxter's injury. He's coming back from an LCL, PCL. That's going to be a long recovery. I don't think he's going to be 100% by the time this game rolls around.
When did he injure? When did he get hurt?
He got hurt about midway through summer last year, Gerald?
Yeah.
I think
it was
June,
right
July.
Yeah.
Okay.
Hopefully his girlfriend's Mia Scott on the softball team who played all year with one good knee. So hopefully she gave him some tips. Is really what we're hoping for.
No, I think for your running backs, I understand that with CJ Baxter. That's understandable. For me, it's not even just about Baxter. I believe in the first two. I saw it firsthand. Like those are Wisner is one of the best receiving running backs out of the backfield I've ever seen. The fact that it just kept happening and happening and happening to the point where the game was tied in the playoff when we played you guys. I was like, my goodness, right? Like, so I don't know. I think your guys' running back situation is fine, even if Baxter doesn't play. And I think if Baxter does play, you're talking about one of the best 3D. And if he's healthy and like healthy enough, right? Even at 80 to 90%, I would say that's probably the best, like depth-wise running back room in the nation from 1 to 3.
That I don't disagree with. Like depth-wise, we're good, but there's question marks with all of them. Like Baxter, it's his health. Wisner, I like, but I did a video on this in the middle of last year. I got heat from Texas fans. There's literally a guy that continuously says, I need you to be kicked off the channel because I'm an idiot. I got another comment this week from that, but I was right in the end because I said Trey Wisner is not good enough to lead a team to a national championship as the number one running back, and he's not. Like if you look at the past 10 to 12 teams that have done it, he would be probably the worst running. And again, I love the guy. He's a really good football player, but he's not a number one running back on a national championship team. Gibson, fumbling issues, and then Christian Clark, he's coming off an ACL or an Achilles injury as well. So two of your top, 4 running backs are coming back from injury. So I that's a weakness for me right now. I don't know if you feel that way, Gerald. I know we've talked about it a little bit.
I wouldn't call it a weakness, but it's definitely a question mark. I mean, you and I have talked about, if CJ Baxter is healthy, like he is going to be one of the top running backs in the country. Like I'm fine with that. Trey Wisner, I have gone on record. Trey Wisner deserves to never buy a beer in the city of Austin ever again. 3-star kid, came in almost like he was almost recruited over, and then came in, made his name on special teams, and was RB1 on a college football playoff teams. Like that kid deserves every free beer and free meal he gets. But I think there are deficiencies in his game. I think you see it with Texas's short yardage issues last year is one that really like brings kind of my flags up, is that, he doesn't have the skill set and size of a CJ Baxter. Jared Gibson, they couldn't trust that Rhino to hold on to the ball, so you can't put him in there in short yardage situation. So I'm not worried about it, but it's definitely one of those things that I'm like, I wish I felt better going into it.
Let's put it this way. We're not running a toss sweep with CJ Baxter on 2nd and goal versus Ohio State.
Toward Caleb Downs, don't forget that. Toward Caleb Downs, don't you forget that.
I would love if you did. Personally,
oh my God,
I would not.
My children learned some new words after that play.
Now that Matthew Golden's gone, like, how do you feel about Texas's number one wide receivers going up against Ohio State's defensive backs? Because I think, quite honestly, I think that might determine this game. Because I know as Ohio State fans, they feel really confident about their secondary. So, like, what do you guys think about the Texas receivers going up?
Gerald, I'll let you hit that.
Yeah, this is a group that has there's a very, very big difference between, I think, the floor and the ceiling for this group. There's a ton of talent. And if they hit their top end, like it's an elite group. Like they've got multiple 5-star kids. They've got Ryan Wingo. They've got Ryan Niblett. They've got Jamie French. They've got all these kids that were big name recruiting, but none of them have major stats that have been wide receiver one on a team that has national championship level aspirations. I think Jack Endries at tight end probably helps quite a bit and softens that a little bit, especially for a young quarterback, having a guy you could be as your safety net. He's going to be, I think, legit. And I'll let Matt gush about Endries here in a second, because I think he's probably the charter member of the fan club. But yeah, I that is a concern. And I think folks are going to tune in for a game and expect something really exciting. And if you're not into defensive battles, I don't know if this is going to be the game for you. I think it's going to be lower scoring than people anticipate, because I think Ohio State is equipped to shut down what Texas wants to do. And I think Texas in a lot of ways is equipped to shut down what Ohio State wants to do. So I think if you like defense, like I love watching good defensive football. So I think we're going to see a lot of that in this game.
No, I completely agree with that, because you have two guys coming in at quarterback with 2 combined starts. So I don't think this is going to be a high-scoring game. And yes, I am the number one fan of Jack Endries. That's going to be one of my hot takes when we go into this season. I think he's going to have the best season in the history of Texas football at the tight end position. I think he's that good. So, yeah, I think he's that good.
I'm laughing because earlier when I was going through your roster, your depth chart, I had to look him up and go, who the hell is this guy? Because there's nothing. I see 4 years of nothing.
Yeah. Also, and Gerald, you mentioned Jamie French.
Am I thinking of the right person?
No, you're
I
thinking of
forgot about
Spencer
him.
Shannon. He transferred from
Why,
Cal.
why do they have him as a starter? I don't know
See,
why.
I don't know.
He's 6'7".
Yeah,
That's
maybe
about it.
that's
6'7"
why.
and kind of fast. I don't know.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Jack Andrews is the guy we got from Cal. He had like 800 or 700 yards receiving last year with 8 or 9 touchdowns. He's good. He's legitimately one of the 2 to 3 best tight ends in college football. But Max Clare, by the way, those two might be the best too.
I was gonna bring him up. Jared Garrison loves him some Max Clare.
Hey, we love our tight ends over here. But yeah, I agree. I think the ceiling is really high for this Texas wide receiver room because I think Ryan Wingo's that guy. Like, I think he's really, really special. He gets forgotten about because obviously Jeremiah Smith is a freak, Ryan Williams is a freak, but I think he could slide in and be that third guy potentially in college football. Do I think he will? I don't know. I haven't seen enough yet, but he has that potential. It's a really deep room, though. It's kind of like the running back room. Like, there's question marks, but it's really deep. Like, Parker Livingstone is a guy that's going to get a decent amount of playing time, and he's like the 5th or 6th guy. And this guy's running like a 4.35, 4.440 out there, 6'4" white dude. And you're like, oh, this guy's this quick. So yeah, he's going to be a good player for us. And I think we're just going to be able to attack all, deep down the field this year. We weren't able to do that with Quinn Ewers, I think, for multiple reasons. I don't think it's a strength of his, but I also think it's because he was hurt. Like, let's be honest here. He's playing on a torn lat. He had an ankle injury, so he's not going to be able to step into his throws as well. But Arch Manning has a cannon, and I think we're going to be able to attack deep more this year.
He should have stayed in Columbus, man.
Yeah. So as far as the depth goes, like I think you made a good point there, Matt, because I think both of these programs are kind of in the same boat. We're coming into this game, there's a lot of question marks in certain positions, but they're deep in those positions. Like, both programs have recruited exceedingly well at those spots. So it's just time for those guys who have been kind of sitting and waiting for their turn to step up and show what they can do. Because I think both teams are going to come in with who's going to perform on the defensive line for Ohio State. Like you mentioned, the wide receivers behind Wingo. Like, who's going to do that? You mentioned about the running backs. I think it's a lot of the same deal for both of these programs, and that's what makes it the week 1 matchup so fascinating.
No, I agree, because I think like, you guys have lost a lot of coaches too, and we could relate to that up until the last couple of years under Sark, because we were going through a defensive coordinator every other year, and it does take some time. Like, you guys will be much better at the end of the season defensively than you will at the beginning of the season. That's going to happen. I just want your fan base to know that it's going to happen, because, guys, PK is a great defensive coordinator, and at the beginning of his tenure, there were people saying he needs to be fired. He needs to be fired. I'm like, did you see what he did at Washington? Because he was pretty good at Washington. Maybe you should give him some time. I think Matt Patricia's the same. With some time, he'll be pretty good. But yeah, I agree. I think we're really deep. We've closed the talent gap with the last couple classes, because Ohio State and Georgia were like way ahead of everyone else talent-wise. That is starting to get a little bit closer. We're still 3rd, but it's gotten a lot closer. So it's going to be a really fun game. I know that.
Well, I want to bring this up because you talked about Wingo, and there was a play in the playoff game against you guys when Caleb Downs tripped him up when you go up the left sideline. I watched, I think it was a reverse play or something like that. It was a reverse or a screen, right? And I saw that, it was a screen. And I said, if Caleb Downs didn't do that, he was housing that. He was housing that. Touchdown. And I was like, so for like Matthew, that's what I'm saying to you. Like, I don't need to see the production. Like, I was talking to people. They asked who your top 3 wide receivers in the Big Ten. I said Jeremiah Smith, Carnell Tate, and Nick Marshall at Michigan State. He only had 600 yards, but I saw what I needed to see. And so I feel the same way about Wingo. Now, this is where Garrison becomes Garrison, and you just got to deal with it. You talked about the depth at your wide receiver room. But I looked at the wide receiver room, and if I'm correct here, I counted 3 upperclassmen and 5 or 6 freshmen, 1 sophomore. So my question is, how experienced are they, and do you believe that the guys behind them? If I'm wrong here, I think your second stringers are going to be freshmen, at least 1 or 2 of them. Do you think they're going to be ready, or do you think they have the talent coming in with Arch? In his first time starting, I know everyone say, like, he had over 900 yards last year, but the 2 games he started, I'm sorry, Mississippi State ain't the bar for me, and I saw him do crap against a crap team. I still believe in Arch. I still think he's, even though I saw make him wobbly for a second. But
well, and traveling the shoe is a different animal than playing, some of those other teams he was playing.
So my question is, what do you expect? Not from the start. So I think it's Moore is one of the wide receivers, correct? Yeah, he's really good.
Yeah, DeAndre Moore.
Yeah, DeAndre Moore. Out of the starters, what do you expect for the guys behind those three?
Jared, I'll let you hit that.
Yeah, I mean, we didn't have a spring game, so I couldn't tell you what the depth chart looks like as of right now.
I forgot about that.
Yeah,
right?
I forgot about that too.
Yeah, but I think from a like you said, from a talent standpoint, I mean, they've got kids that are freshmen that are coming in that are 6'2", running sub 11 on the track. So like they've got guys that have the talent, right? They've got guys that had all you. I'm not like a star watcher. I'm an offers watcher. When you look at recruiting, and you got guys that have all the right offers, all the right coaches that want them, and so I mean, there is a ton of talent in that room. I think that second group of guys, Parker Livingston, like Matthew mentioned, you probably see like Khalil Lockett, maybe Jamie French. I'm not sure who that, like Michael Terry. There's a lot of talent. None of them have played a snap in Austin yet, or in anywhere yet. So like I don't know what the production will be, but I think ultimately, Sark has done a really good job of putting receivers, regardless of experience, in great position to win, right? Devonta Smith wasn't really a household name before he won a Heisman, right? That's always the thing that I fall back on. He was good, but nobody really was talking about him preseason as a Heisman favorite. And the guy just showed up and won a Heisman. So I think I'm ultimately always going to lean on, like, I trust Sark and his staff to put those guys in position. I mean, he made a first round draft pick out of a quarterback that I think is now on his way out of the league a few years ago. So like, I trust his acumen on the offensive side of the ball to like put the guys in position to win.
Yeah, I agree. And they are young. We landed 3 of the top 10, according to 247, the composite of the freshman wide receivers coming in: Dalen McCutcheon, Jamie French, and Khalil Lockett. It's funny because Jamie French and Khalil Lockett get mentioned more, but if you read the articles of like insiders, Dalen McCutcheon's the one that's getting more snaps and getting talked about more. So I think you'll see him more.
Jamie French.
Yeah, that's what I said earlier, because Ohio State was trying to land him as well.
Yeah, he's really good. But I expect, like, out of those 3 freshmen, I think Dalen McCutcheon's going to play more, honestly. So look out for him. And then a guy that people keep talking about, and he has the speed, he has everything you want, but I'm not sure about yet, is Aaron Butler. This is a guy that we recruited last year, and people were comping him to Xavier Worthy because of the quickness and short spaces and everything like that.
He's also very skinny.
Yes, he's very little, but I don't know what to expect. Now, I forgot about this guy, Emmett Mosley, the 5th from Stanford. Good football player. I think he's going to play a lot more and be a lot better than people think he is, because he played for Stanford last year, and he still played well. I think he had 600 yards receiving and 6 touchdowns at Stanford. So I expect pretty good production out of him as well this year.
Okay. I have a question here, because
go ahead, Ryan. You got to watch your crap team try to win a championship.
I got my day job here. I gotta cover the Pacers here in a few minutes. On offense, you guys did the best of anybody stopping Jeremiah Smith, especially during the late season run when the offense was really clicking. So, do you feel that game plan is going to be similar to what you guys do in August, or with different talent, are you guys going to have a different look for Smith?
So I don't know if we're going to be able to do that, because you guys have Max Clare. Last year you guys didn't have an elite tight. Like, he was good. I think I placed a bet over like 3 catches in that game for your tight end. The name is escaping me now, but because they could dump it down to him. Max Clare's not going to be used like that in this game. You're going to be seeing seam routes, stuff like that over the middle with him attacking the field. So I don't know if you're going to be able to bracket Jeremiah Smith like that with a weapon in the middle. So that's a good question. I said this like a month before that game. If we play you guys, I want to do the old Bill Belichick thing where you put the number 2 cornerback on the number 1 wide receiver with safety help, and then put the number 1 cornerback on your second. We didn't really do that. It was more of whatever side he lined up on, we just bracketed. So I don't know. And we don't have Jahdae Barron this year. So that's going to be interesting, because when you have the best cornerback in college football, you can get away once in a while with going one-on-one, which I think we did maybe once or twice in that game. But I don't know if I trust Malik Muhammad to do that. That's going to be iffy, because last year was not a great year for him. His freshman year was really good, but last year was not great.
And I think the thing that you also overlook with that is Andrew Makuba over the top is not going to be there. Like that's the one that I think concerns me the most. Is Andrew Makuba is now going to be playing on Sundays as a at safety for something. Yeah. And so I think that was the big advantage for Texas, is that Makuba was low key one of the better safeties in the country last year, and that was a big part of how Texas was able to kind of put a lid on that guy. Like I went into the game basically saying, like, let Jeremiah Smith get his and limit everybody else. Right, that was what I was hoping Texas could do to keep that game close. And so I don't, that's not really Pete Kwiatkowski's game style or gameplay. I think he's going to try to do something similar. He's very much like, keep everything in front of you, don't give up the big plays over the top. And so that's just his philosophy. So I don't know if he's going to shy too far away from that. I don't know if Texas has the same horses in the barn that they did a year ago to get that done, but I don't see the game plan changing a ton. I think just the personnel is going to be different, because Pete Kwiatkowski has run the same basic defense since he's gotten to Austin. He's going to keep everything in front of him. He's going to limit to try to keep you, force it to dump down in front of the safeties, dump down in that middle area of the field, force you to nickel and dime, and hopefully catch you making a mistake in there. And so I don't anticipate the game plan changing a ton, but the loss of Makuba really does a lot to hamper Texas's ability to put a lid on things.
Okay.
No,
I gotta jump out here, Garrison. So I'll let you take more of the Ohio State questions here, and I'll see you Thursday.
You
Thanks for having
know
us
me.
on,
Pure Buckeye propaganda.
That's right. You give him some propaganda.
Uncut, unfiltered.
Yes, sir. See you, bro.
Thanks, Ryan.
See ya. Thanks.
See you guys.
No, while we're here talking about your guys' DB, you guys lost Jade, of course. I'm not too worried about your guys' secondary, and if you guys want to switch over to the other side of the ball, he's way for us. First, let me say this. I think your defense. I think you guys are coming in with the best front seven in college football. On top of that, I do believe that you have enough talent in return. When you have guys, when you got maybe the best pass rusher in college football, and then Burks on the other side, right? He's pretty good football. He's pretty good too. I watched your guys' game against Oklahoma, and what I did was I just skipped until I saw him on the field. That's all I did. And then on top of that, you got the best linebacker unit in college football, the best linebacker in college football in Hill Jr. I think when you have that and you run the defense that you run, which is similar to what the Wolverines run, I think it helps you guys because you're not putting yourselves in situations where you're an idiot like Notre Dame and you put your guys on one-on-one situations, and man, you guys don't do that, and you know better than to do that. So I do, and that's one of the reasons, man. I don't think it's gonna be this bad, but I think you're like you mentioned it earlier, Matthew. I mean, you remember that 12-9 game LSU Bama, or was it?
I think it was 9-6.
Yeah, and 3 years ago it was. What was that Georgia Clemson score? First game of the year.
10-3, I think.
21. Yeah, like it was a defensive touchdown. So I don't think it's gonna be that bad because I think Sark and Ryan Day as head coaches, they have they're not calling plays, but they got their hands in there. And then you look at the talent just around these quarterbacks, and look who the quarterbacks are. You know, a lot of guys. You got Archman, you got Nuss out of LSU, who I have winning the Heisman. You have all these guys, but for some odd reason, Julian Sand is just getting left out of these conversations as if he didn't finish ahead of I think he finished second. First was Lagway, as he should have been, and third was then Raiola. And so and that was the guy that Nick Saban wanted. Like he wanted him. So I do think it's gonna be interesting to see how these offenses go against each other. But going against your guys' defense, I really want to see it. But I do believe because we bring our interior O-line back, that's where we have some type of advantage.
So I'd like to camp out there for a second because you mentioned saying, coming in, what do What do we think he's going to be like? What is it going to look like in this Ryan Day offense? No shots at Will Howard. Guy won a national championship, but I think Julian's saying maybe an athletic step up.
He's more talented than Will.
Right.
And the funny part is people think Julian Sand can't run. I think he's a statue. He's not. Julian's he's purely more talented, has a better arm. Now is Julian 6'4", 230 pounds? No. But he doesn't need to be. I wasn't sure. Did you guys get a chance to catch our spring game?
Yeah, I didn't watch much of it. I watched a little, but not much.
Just look at how quick that ball's out of his hands. Which, my goodness, when you're going against guys like Colin Simmons, you'll want that and you need that. But you look at things like that. I think you can expect the ball's gonna be out quick. He's gonna make the right play. If he needs to throw the ball out of bounds, he's gonna throw it out of there. He's not gonna be like Shedeur Sanders and take the sack to save his passing percentage. And plus Ryan Day would pull him out the game for doing some crap like that. I think you can expect a guy who knows where to put the ball. And on top of that, I think you're looking at a guy that has everything around him. I think the biggest concern you're looking at for Julian, you bring in C.J. Donaldson out of West Virginia, 700 yards over the past 2 seasons, for both seasons. But it's a really young running back unit, which means they probably aren't good at pass protection. So that's one of the things I'm really worried about. But I think Julian is going to be fine. As long as Ryan Day is the head coach at Ohio State, I have no reason to believe the quarterback position is going to struggle. The worst. I mean, Kyle McCord threw 26 touchdowns, and that was with Emeka Egbuka being hurt throughout the season. Running backs getting hurt, and everyone knows you're throwing the ball to Marv. I think the stat line I pulled out for Julian this season was 35 plus touchdowns, 4,000 yards, 69 to 70% completion percentage, and maybe 6 to 7 interceptions. The defense, the offense is going to be on the field more than the defense was last year. He's gonna be in the field and put some stats. So I think the good part about that is that throughout the season he's going to get a lot of reps. But that's a tough first task.
Yeah. I mean, I think Gerald and I have talked about this enough to where we both agree the edge for Texas is probably the best position group on our team, and it might be the just best position group for anyone on any team.
You think it's better than linebacker?
Oh yeah, edge. Trey Moore most likely is going to line up at edge and linebacker. You can throw him in either one, but then Colin Simmons.
I didn't know that. Thank you. I didn't know that.
Yeah, he'll be him and Brad Spence, who we got from Arkansas. They're going to play a little bit of both. They'll play linebacker and edge. They love versatility on the defense. You're going to see guys line up in weird positions sometimes, but Simmons, Burke, Lance Jackson is a freshman. If you don't know about him, read about him, look him up. 6'5", 280 pounds already as a freshman. Dude is a freak. Zeno Umulazulu, who his brother is going to be the left guard for Texas. That's our biggest concern, by the way. Offensive line is left guard, but he's going to be a pretty good player for Texas. Like the edge class is pretty stacked at Texas.
Yeah, I think from a depth perspective, I think edge probably has the advantage over the linebacker position because Anthony Hill, obviously, Leonga Leifau, obviously, those first two.
Linebacker in the country. I don't think
he's a monster. I've been telling Texas fans ever since we started covering, doing preseason stuff, enjoy every snap because that guy is vapors at the end of the season. Enjoy every snap. He is going to be an all-timer, and he's going to be gone pretty soon. He's elite. But I think after that, it's a lot of questions. There's a reason why Trey Moore is practicing both edge and linebacker, right? Because they don't necessarily know who they have back there. But I guess you mentioned the interior of the offensive line is great. The tackles were great a year ago. Kind of some question marks coming in, matching up against a group that's let's be honest, elite at Texas. So what is how do you expect that group to hold up again? First game, offensive line takes a little bit to get into the groove. What is how worried are you about that?
Not at all.
Okay.
I think this offensive line has a chance to win the Joe Moore Award. Again, we're bringing back the interior that from the playoff. That I think that a lot of people are forgetting that Texas, Notre Dame, and Oregon had three of the top 10 defensive lines in college football. A lot of people didn't like Luke Montgomery. I knew he was going to be good. Tegra, he's a good player when he wants to be. But I think a lot of people forgot that Carson Hinsman, who was a center in the playoffs, he was the center all season in 2023. McLaughlin came in, won the Remington. But I Aniyanwa on the from out of Rice, I'm very confident in him. I mean, he's there's been 4 spots that are already secured. It's left tackle to center, and then when it comes to right guard and right tackle, Austin Sarabel is going to start no matter what. The question is, does Tegra start at right guard, and then Sarabel goes to right tackle, or does Sarabel go to right guard and Philip Daniels out of Minnesota, the transfer, plays there? Now, Philip Daniels didn't have 5 starts out of last season, so not a lot. CBS actually put him in their top 150 college football players, but I gotta see it first, right? So I'm not gonna call you a top 150 player in the nation off of 5 games, and in 2 of them you struggled, but you have a lot of talent, but you struggled. So we'll see what happens there. Also, we have a new O-line coach. Justin Fry goes off to the NFL. We bring in Tyler Bowen out of Penn State, so we got to see how that works out. But I'm very confident in this offensive line, but they have got whoever is at right tackle. My God, they have got. You got listen, man. If you're gonna have a good game all season outside the Wolverine game, have a good game that day. Because Colin Simmons is coming and he's coming fast. He's gonna bend. He's gonna spin. He's gonna jump. He's a freak athlete. He's gonna run by you. Yeah, so that's spots where I'm worried. And mind you, guys, right tackle's been a point of conversation now for 3-4 years.
Yeah, would you say you're more worried about the change with your offensive line coach or Brian Hartline coming in as OC?
I'm not worried at all. So
at either one?
Well, all right, no, let me out of the 2. All right, I'm talking about Brian Hartline. I ain't worried. Okay. Tyler Bowen, I'm worried. Okay, well, I don't know how worried I'm supposed to be. Like, and again, I don't want to sound like a fanboy, so this is why I'm coming up with reasons. Tyler Bowen's whole thing has been he's been a recruiter, mostly recruiting, but he's run games. That is his call to fame. Everyone since he was at Penn State, it was known that if you ask him to call a pass play, it probably won't work out. But that was why Ryan Day talked to Brian Hartline and said, "How do you feel about bringing him in? Help run the run game?" He said, "Don't bring him in." So that's why I'm not worried. But at the end of the day, right, you gotta hope it works. This is Penn State's a fine program, a really good program. This is not Penn State. We're on the banks of the Olentangy in Ohio, Columbus. So we gotta see how it works out. And again, like, I don't even know if it's so much him than it is your defensive line coach and your defensive line. Actually, it's not just defensive line coach. Clark is the edge line, the DN coach, the edge coach.
Yeah.
So he's going against elite guys. Like, yeah, you guys have my freaking D line coach over there. But you have no idea how mad I am about that. But no, I'm more worried about him. I'm not worried about what he calls. I'm more so worried about what he's going against, which is you guys. So
you can take that frustration and just we'll exchange it for Brian Hartline taking every wide receiver to come out of Austin for the last 40 years. Effectively, is what it feels like. So we'll take. I mean, it worked out for both of us, right? You got Heisman level wide receivers from Austin. We'll take the defensive line coaches.
Well, I think it's pretty interesting too that on both sides of the ball, so your interior versus our interior on the offensive line, and then vice versa, I think there's question marks on both sides that are going to get answered a little bit during this game. I don't think they're going to be completely answered during this game because Gerald agrees with this. Our left guard is definitely the biggest question mark on the team. And then you guys have the interior question marks, obviously, and then vice versa, same thing. So I think that's like a little matchup on both sides of the ball that's probably going to determine the game. It's going to be very interesting to watch. And Ryan was right too. Like, these are two super talented teams, two of the three most talented teams in the country. And they're both going to get a lot better during the year because of all the young players at key positions. So that's the thing too. People are going to write headlines and say, well, this determines this because of this game. That's not going to be the case. Like, both these teams, in my opinion, are going to end up probably in the Final Four, Final Eight at least again. So I'm just excited for the game, honestly. That's my big overall point. I mean, we're going to play Ohio State, twice in 9 months, 8 months. So it's going to be exciting.
I do want to point this out because I'm going to switch over real quick about your guys' offensive line. So I wrote this down. So Gooseby, a left tackle, correct?
Yep.
So redshirt sophomore, was a 413th ranked guy composite out of high school, 328 snaps. And this is where I believe Ohio State wins the game, just so you guys know. I think we win this game with our D-line. Left guard, Umezulu, how do you say that?
Yep. Yeah, Umeozulu, yeah.
Umeozulu. 166 snaps. Redshirt junior, though, mind you, very talented coming out of high school.
Yep.
Hudson, senior.
Yeah, Hudson, yeah.
So now him, I think there's no worry about. I think that's very important for you guys at center. 1,300 plus snaps. Because I think he could have either gone to right guard or center, right?
Yeah, he can play basically any position other than tackle. Yeah, he can play anywhere other than tackle.
That's the type of guy you want there. You're only returning starter, and when Wolverine fans come at me talking about what Texas is gonna beat you guys, I do bring up. I'm pretty sure they lost 4 offensive linemen. I'm pretty sure that's a fact. So but Campbell, senior. Let's get a run through about DJ Campbell. The guy's a dog. So I got nothing to say about that. I got nothing to say about that. But this is a guy that I really want to talk about. Because I think that if he is who I thought he was coming out of high school, this is where I think you guys can navigate around our defensive line. Because it's much harder to bring your O-line together than your D-line. Your D-line, you can just go say, go.
Yeah.
Brandon Baker, who I wish was at Ohio State. Oh my God, we were so close. But the kid is just so good. And now it's just about let's see it, right? And I'm so bullish on this kid. I would have said, Gooseby, you got right tackle, man. I'm just gonna put the kid over there. But I really want to see what he looks like. For those who don't, for Ohio State fans who don't know, Brandon Baker, Ohio State really wanted him out of high school, but Justin Fry, being the crap recruiter he is, but good developer, but crap recruiter he is, didn't get him. And Brandon Baker wanted to stay home. But so there's that. But number 2 offensive tackle coming out of high school, top 30 recruit out of high school. Yeah. Composite. I mean, this is one of those offensive linemen who I would call him a mountain piece on your team. Like it's someone who you can build the rest of your offensive line around. So, how do you guys feel about Brandon Baker coming into the season?
I'll let you hit on that, Joe.
Yeah. So I want to backtrack to Trevor Gooseby on the left side.
Defend him.
Right. Trevor Gooseby starting over Brandon Baker, right? Gooseby was the guy that came in when they had injuries at tackle last year. And that was because I feel the way about Brandon Baker like you do. Like I almost named my 3rd child Brandon Baker when he committed to Texas, right? Like that's how much I wanted that guy to come in Austin. No, I didn't actually. My wife wouldn't have killed me. But that to me, yeah. little bit. No, so like that to me is the big like feather in like the Trevor Goosby's going to be okay cap, because like if he was I thought Brandon Baker was going to be like a day one like in the mix guy coming into Austin. So the fact that Goosby got the reps over him last year makes you feel better about him. I mean, Brandon Baker, I talked, one of my buddies played offensive line at UAB. He's was a recruiting guy for a while. Now he's a high school teacher, just doesn't do the football piece anymore. But he was drooling when Goosby committed to, or when Brandon Baker committed to Texas, like ready-made kind of guy who could come in and be, like you said, that cornerstone piece of an offensive line. And so I have nothing but good things to say about him. And I think because of that, that's why I feel okay about Trevor Goosby on the left side, because Goosby got the reps over him a year ago. And, I'll say this, Kyle Flood is not the guy to just, he's not the star chaser, very clearly. He's not the guy who's going to, start a guy or give him reps because he's not the, because he has whatever personal feelings. He's going to play the best guy. And so I think that to me is the reason why I feel okay about Goosby, because again, everybody loves Brandon Baker. Anybody that knows anything about offensive line is going to tell you Brandon Baker is going to be the next big thing. And so Goosby getting the reps over him makes me feel good.
I'm going to defend even harder because I watched this man play Texas A&M, and he made me forget Kelvin Banks existed. He made me forget in that game that Kelvin Banks was missing in that game. No one came off that side and touched Quinn Ewers. There was not an issue. People are like, man, where's this guy come from? And he's a freaky athlete. But you can type it in right now. Type in Trevor Goosby dunking a basketball, doing a 180 on the basketball court at 6'7", 330 pounds. Dude, there's no doubt in my mind he's going to be a good football player for Texas. He'll get drafted higher than Cam Williams. I'll place money on anyone with that. Like, he's not a 6th-round pick. He's better than that. Like I said, left guard is my biggest concern. I have no idea what Zena's going to do. None. You could tell me he gets benched in the second or third game this season. You could tell me he goes on to be third-team All-American. And you know what? That could be the case. I do not know. I'm confident in 4 of the guys starting on that offensive line. I have no idea about that left guard position. And it's the first time really Texas didn't have to worry about this last year. Like, we knew who the offensive line was. We knew what they were going to do. We knew how good they were going to be. And they were pretty good. I honestly think they were not as good as we thought they were going to be. I think Gerald would agree with that as well. Like, we had too much talent for them to struggle in certain aspects. But really, really good. I think they're going to be pretty good this year. I don't think they're going to be really good, but I think they're going to be pretty good along the offensive line.
And I think if this game was week 8 and not week 1, I'd feel a whole lot better about the offensive line. I mean, that's right. It takes a few weeks for them to get to gel and to get their rhythms right and their steps right and their hands right and all of that. I mean, you said it right. It is a lot easier to just turn loose a defensive lineman and say, hey, go find the ball, than it is an offensive lineman. So I think that is why I think it's going to be a very lower scoring game than folks anticipate. Because I think both of these defenses are going to have a lot to say about the outcome.
So yeah, I think the over and unders set at like 50.5 points too. So they predict a pretty low scoring game as well.
Wait, you guys said Washington's going to start, right? At tight end?
No. Jack Endries.
Jack. Okay. Yeah, because I read something interesting about Washington, and I want to ask you guys about it.
Yeah.
So I was reading his profile out of high school, and it says blocks with encouraging conviction. So what? Like, is he tight end 2 for you guys?
That's a great question. I don't know who tied into. That was before we got Jack Endries. That was going to be by far my biggest concern for the team. Mm-hmm. Then we got him. I'm not concerned. But yeah, he's purely a pass catcher. Like, unless he puts on weight and becomes a average to good blocker overnight, I don't really see him being tight end number 2, because Gerald knows we like guys that can block at Texas. Like, Gunnar Helm found the field for his first part of his career because he could block. So I think Spencer Shannon probably be number 2 just because he's big and he can block. That'd be my guess.
Yeah, I think Shannon's probably tied in too. I think again he's just freaking big. Like, there's no 2 ways around it. And I think if you're looking at what Sark likes out of a tight end. I think it's blocking first and then receiving. I think if you look at the difference, and this is no shot at the kid, like Jatavian Sanders was not a great blocker, and Texas's offense showed it. And I think Gunnar Helm was a better blocker, and Texas's offense showed it. So I think that's like really where Sark likes to lead it. Now, if you can get both, right? Gunnar Helm turned into a both kind of guy last year for Texas, but I think Shannon probably gets the start over Washington because of just sheer size, and especially in this game, I wouldn't be shocked to see Texas running 2 tight sets because Sark likes 2 tight sets anyways, and that gets an extra blocker or 2 on the field against an Ohio State front that's going to be really freaking good. Like there's no 2 ways around it. So if you can have an extra blocker on one side or both sides, I think it's probably what Sark is going to end up doing. The guy likes 2 tights anyways, so.
Yeah, so a name I'm going to float out there for next year's game, Nick Townsend, buy stock now, runs a sub like 800 meters as a tight end. He's a freak. He's going to be very good. Buy the stock.
That's fast for a tight end. Tim, that's what I ran in high school. I was a DB.
Yeah, he's quick, man. And the only reason he's not going to play is because he came on late. He's not one of those early enrollees, so I don't see how he plays into this team this year. But next year, that will not be a concern.
I was I'm really interested because in terms of these 2 teams, right? I think where both these 2 teams are very similar outside, new quarterback, genius offensive coaches as head coaches, all that. I think, let me know if you guys agree with me on this, because I feel this way about Ohio State. I think if both teams, with how young they actually are, especially on the offensive side, if one of these 2 teams were to win the national championship, I think they'll be doing it a year early.
Yeah. I completely agree because there was that comment someone made next year, Ohio State should be the odds-on favorite, and I commented back, what about Texas? Because I think they're basically on the same timeline. The only guy we're going to miss from this year's team that's going to be like super important is Anthony Hill. Obviously, super important guy. He's gone. He's not going to come back. Maybe there's some guys that I think could progress enough to where they leave early. Trevor Gooseby, Malik Muhammad, maybe. But really, other than Anthony Hill, and you know what, Michael Taff as well. Forgot that name, but he'll be gone as well.
Oh, we ran over his name. That guy's a dog.
He is. I love that guy. But most of the team's going to be back next year. Same with Ohio State. So it's going to be very interesting. And I agree.
Yeah. I think they are both playoff caliber teams, and I wouldn't be shocked to see either or both of them make a decent run in the playoff, right? Just on sheer talent alone. But ultimately, and like old teams win. Ohio State last year was an old freaking team. It is what it is, right? They had a lot of guys with a lot of experience, a lot of reps, and that's part of why they were good in those late game situations. It's why they were good in a lot of the spots that they were put in. And so, as much as we love watching the recruiting, and Matthew and I are all over the defensive line recruiting this week, salivating over those kids, like. It pays to be old in football. It pays to be old, especially in the trenches. It pays to be, there's a difference between a 20-year-old playing in the trenches and a 22-year-old playing in the trenches, right? Like that's just the way football goes. And as much as we love the freshman phenoms, right? We love the Jeremiah Smiths. We love all of those guys, right? The older you are, an older quarterback, an older offensive line, older guys at those key positions really is the differentiator. So a lot of that to say, I'm with you, Garrison. I think either of these teams, both of these teams should be in the playoff next year. I think that's a fair expectation. I think a decent run from them is probably also fair to expect, but I don't. If either of them win a national championship, they'll be ahead of schedule for sure.
Yeah. And the thing is, it's going to be a clash this year between teams because I keep mentioning this. There's 7 of the top 10 teams in odds-on favorite to win the national title are all replacing their quarterback. Like they're all young quarterbacks coming in and playing. So to me, there's really only 2 teams where if that is true, what Gerald just said, if older teams truly do win national championships, then that's easy for you to go place money on Penn State and go place money on Clemson. Those would be the 2 teams that win the national championship.
I can tell you that shit ain't happening.
So a young team's going to win the national championship.
I think the team that has the quarterback and the best receivers in this year.
That sounds like you're saying Ohio State without saying Ohio State.
No. Because I think LSU. I'm a believer. Like you guys probably know this about me, but I think LSU or Texas win the SEC this season.
Yep.
And that's also because I'm not a believer in whoever the heck is playing quarterback at Georgia or Alabama.
Fair.
Ty Simpson, I gotta see it. And on top of that, I don't know. It's just I see that. I think there's teams like, and don't get me wrong, Penn State could win it all if you got like, and that's why I hate when people say natty or bust. There are maybe 3 to 6 teams every season that can win a national championship. Like someone would say, what if James Franklin doesn't win this year? I'm like, if James Franklin doesn't win this season, and let's say Texas does, oh my God, Penn State, Texas beat you for a national championship with Arch Manning, Ryan Wingo, the best front seven in college football. Shame on you. Like I don't know. I'm just trying to stay away from that. And so but I do think that when you look at teams like Ohio State, you look at teams like Texas, you look at oh my God, I think Clemson is going to run through the ACC.
Yeah.
I think those teams that have the better quarterbacks, and I'm projecting for our 2 quarterbacks, of course. I'm very comfortable in saying Julian Saint and Arch Manning are going to be at least top 15 quarterbacks in college football, at least. And that's me being nice. That's me not trying to be a fanboy right now.
No, I agree with that. Like, you have to project. That's the thing too. I know you're high on John Mateer because I've watched your guys' Ohio State show.
Hey, boomer, boomer.
Yeah, hey, don't be saying those are gun words here. We pull out guns for people saying, no, I'm kidding. But I'm not low on John Mateer. I have him ranked. I think Gerald and I are both agree on this. I think we both have him as the 5th best quarterback in the SEC. But yeah, I agree. I think Julian Saint and Arch Manning will both be in that top 10 conversation. Like, I think I have Arch Manning in the 8 to 12 range right now. Obviously, you can go above that. I don't know Gerald's thoughts on nationally, but I know we did the SEC rankings. I'm pretty sure I was slightly higher on Arch Manning than you were, but we both have him pretty high.
Yeah, I think I had Arch in the top couple, right? Like I'm just a guy, like I value seeing it on the field, right? And I've seen more from other players on the field than Arch, and that's just stepping in as the first year starter. Granted, he's a redshirt sophomore, it's only his 3rd year, but like ultimately, I need more than 2 starts out of you to put you any higher than that. But I think we're looking at guys who know, like we're talking about like head coaches. These 2 are head coaches that know how to evaluate talent at the quarterback position. They know how to build an offense. They know how to develop quarterbacks. I have very little concern about either of these guys being what we think they are, right? I think we've seen enough from both of them to know that they will probably get close to that ceiling that we have for them. But, I think the thing that I keep telling Texas fans who are overly confident about this game, I was like, if you look at the best offensive skill player in the country, they're probably in Columbus. You look at the best defensive skill player in the country, they're probably in Columbus, right? That's something that you cannot overstate, right? Like there is something to be said about Caleb Downs literally changing the entire complexion of that semifinal game, right? If he doesn't blow up that play in the backfield, we may be looking at a very different outcome for both of these teams. But Caleb Downs is a one-man defensive wrecking crew. He can be that good. Same thing on the offensive side. Jeremiah Smith can completely change the complexion of a game with one go route, with one slipped coverage. He's a guy who can do that. So like I feel good about Texas. I feel confident. I'm worried. It's not like I'm not saying I don't have concerns about the game, but like it's gonna be fine, right? But like when you think about guys who can change the game with one play, Ohio State has 2 guys, one on either side of the ball, that can absolutely do that. And so like they're like the X factor. They're like the blue shell in a Mario Kart game, right? Those 2 guys are blue shell.
I hate that thing. I hate it.
Right?
Never get away from it.
Nope.
Hey, this will be the 3rd time we'll play Caleb Downs too. So I mean, we've played him every year he's been in college. So that's a little rivalry we have. We picked on him the first game we played him. I remember Alabama. We had that man confused. His head was spinning all around. But last year he had our number. So hopefully we get back on the winning side of that one.
So what scores do you guys have? What do you guys have?
Let it go, Gerald. Let me know. What do you got?
This is why I don't bet, because I'm terrible at this, right?
I think the line's 3 right now for Ohio State, which means you get from being home. It's a pick 'em.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Because I'm a Texas fan, this is a Texas channel, right? We got all sorts of burnt orange. I got to go with the Horns. I think it's going to be a relatively low scoring game, though. I think we're looking at like a 24-21, like, that kind of game. I have them going under. I think what the line, Matt, you said was 50
50 and a half. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think it probably goes under. Again, these are both teams that I could be completely wrong, and they light up the scoreboard because they have that level of talent on the offense. But I think it's a 24-21, 31-28 kind of game. And I'm going to go Horns because, again, I've got the shirt, the diploma's in the background. Like, I got to do it.
So I like being right more than picking Texas, but I'm going to pick Texas. I have money on the game already. So I'm riding with Texas here. I agree. I think it's low scoring, but I think really the difference in this game comes down to, I know it's just 2 games starting, but 2 games does matter. And this is Julian Sands' first start versus this type of opponent early on. The cohesion between the staff too from Texas compared to Ohio State. I know I think down the road, Ohio State's going to be just fine under the guys they have, but I think it's going to take a little bit of time. So I'm going to go Texas 23-17. I think it's a classic game. Unfortunately, it does suck that this game does have to be played at noon. I know Ohio State fans aren't fans of that through the comments we've seen on a couple of videos, blaming us, by the way, but 23-17 Texas.
No. First off, shame on Big Noon and FS1 for trying to blame you guys for that. No, you guys just crappy at what you do, and you're ruining the sport. Richie, no, I'm at my favorite bar right now. This is not, I didn't hunt these. But me, so I do think it's a close game, so I don't want my score to depict what I think of the game. I think it's going to be a low-scoring game at first, but I do believe and this is my biggest point in the game when it comes to the trenches and it comes to your guys' offensive line and it comes to your left guard and your right tackle, even though I'm a big believer in Brandon Baker. I got to see that offensive line come together first, and it's week 1, so it might be hard. I have Ohio State winning this game. I'm going to say somewhere around the realm of I'm going to go 26-17. And just for the sake of poking at your fan base, it's going to end on a Texas native Jane Peoples touchdown. That's how it's going to end. And I'm going to love it because, listen, last year's win was nice, guys. I am still not – all right, when I was a kid, it was it was 2005 when the Longhorns came to Columbus, Ohio. And in that game, before the game went on, they said chances are whoever wins this game is going to be in the national championship. And we lose that. First off, we were kicking your arse in the first half. And then we lose that game 21-14, but Troy Smith played half that game. I have never let that go. Just to see you guys beat USC, and we got to kick the dirt out of Notre Dame. But, I have not let go of that. So last year's victory was nice. It led to a national championship. I need one more. I do not forgive you guys for that.
Are you a big fan of Lima Swede?
Yeah. Well, as a player? Yes.
I've never felt older. I was working my college job during that game. I listened to that game on the radio because I had to work a shift at a Cold Stone Creamery, and then I shut down the store at a party in the street with people
Cold
after
Stone
that game.
So good.
I'm telling you, it was great.
Oh wait! I'm sorry. I hadn't even forgotten about the loss in the Was that the Sugar
Fiesta
Bowl?
Bowl? Fiesta Bowl.
Fiesta Bowl.
Oh my God! We were better than you guys. We were better than you guys. We were better. Oh God, I hate tech.
Hey, we should have been playing. We should have been playing in the national championship that year because we got screwed from the BCS because we beat that Oklahoma team that lost to Florida. So, how do you think we feel?
I don't know. You tell me.
I don't
this was
feel
the
good
1970s. If this was the 1970s, Texas would claim that year's national championship. I'll say it like
100%.
That's how Texas fans feel about it.
God.
That Florida team.
Who you guys? 2019 UCF. Oh, come on.
Okay. Hey, that's what I'm saying. If this was the 70s, right? If this was all back in the bad old days, Texas would say that. But no, man, I think that game was super fun for you. I'm not gonna be mad about it.
That game was fun. And yeah, I didn't give my story. I was 8 years old that got dragged to a festival.
What?
I got dragged to a festival I did not want to go to because that game was on. I was still a Texas fan at that time, diehard. And I'm like, why do I have to be here? And that was like right when people had access to the internet on their phones. So I'd had to go up to people and say, what's the score of the game? What's the score of the game? I got home when the game ended, didn't see a second of it. And then when we play in the national championship, I have a bedtime. So I didn't even get to watch that game. And I'm still pissed off about it. I remind my mom every single time I see her when text on, I'm like, thanks for making me miss the best college football game that's ever been played. Thank you for that.
I'm so freaking. My gosh.
Before I get out of here, I will tell you though, one of my favorite times just seeing you guys lose. Me and my family are on our way to a hotel. We're on like a 4-hour drive, and it was a game. I'm like, I forgot what grade I was in, what year this was. I know you guys know what year it was, but we run into the hotel. And exactly when I get there, I see that boy Crabtree running down that sideline.
That was 08.
That was 08.
Yeah, we beat you in the Fiesta Bowl.
08. So 08, I was an 8th grader. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. I was at that game. I was filming for student media at that game. I was in the end zone. Crabtree scored in filming.
Gerald, how cool was that play?
It took me probably 15 years to like get over like how truly like incredible it is. Like now I'm like I was there for one of the best moments of all time. Like I'm still a little salty about it, but like being on the field for an all-time moment was freaking incredible. Like,
I would have been at the bus.
That's not the worst. That is not the worst play of that drive. Real Texas fans know Blake Gideon dropping the interception about 4 plays beforehand that would have ended the game is the worst play of that drive. By the way, that's an underrated football game. That might be like a top 20 football game ever. That was a fantastic football game.
We'll let you go. I'm a truther on that game. There were fans blowing whistles in the stands, and Earl Thomas gave up on that Crabtree play because he heard a whistle and thought he went out of bounds. I'm a truther. That is my conspiracy theory, is that Earl Thomas did not make the play because he thought the whistle blew because fans had whistles in the stands. That's my conspiracy theory.
No. I know what you're talking about. I agree.
Yeah,
you're right.
There's no he thought it went out of bounds. A fan in the stands blew a whistle.
If you want me to believe that, like I'm 32 years old. Earl Thomas is one of the top 5 safeties I've seen in my lifetime. If you want me to believe that he did something that stupid, no. But hey, guys, appreciate you for having me on here. By the way, shout out to all you Texas fans and the boys of college football. Make sure to bring the rest of your fan base over here. These guys are awesome. Jeremy Matthews. I appreciate you guys having me on here, guys. And hopefully, not hopefully, because we're going to talk about it again. And listen, man. On that post game show, one of us is going to be cussing. It's going to be one of us.
We'll find out. I'm anxious. I'm anxious. The bourbon budget is increased for September, so we can be prepared for that.
Oh man, hey man, it's going to be 4 Roses and Shiner Bock for me.
I love it.
All right, guys, have a good night and see ya.
See ya. We appreciate Garrison and Ryan for stopping by, and all you guys too. We really appreciate it. That's going to do it for us, but we will plug ourselves before we go. That is my Twitter right there. You can follow me, X, whatever you want to call it. So I appreciate when you guys do that. Keep up with it. And then this is Gerald's Blue Sky and Twitter as well, X, whatever you want to call it, as well as his Longhorn Pod, which he drops every week on the Spotify channel, Apple, iHeart, wherever you can find it, just like the voice of college football. And guys, we will be doing another pregame, early game, whatever it is, preview of the Ohio State game with those guys. We'll probably be doing a couple more of these with other team channels on here as well. I think we'll probably have Georgia in the next couple weeks as well, because I know they do a good show over there with Matt Green, and I've talked with him about it. So we really appreciate you guys joining us, and thank you. And as always, hook 'em.
Hook 'em.